He was falling asleep a lot at the dinner table, nodding off. He was playing sports, so I thought he was tired. You know, he was on the football team, so I just thought he was tired. He started with marijuana. He experimented with that, understanding that kids are going to want to experiment, but why? He was bored. He was stealing mail out of people's mail boxes just out of curiosity, you know. He started getting arrested. He come to find out he had been stealing emblems off of like Mercedes and Jaguars, and so that he could pawn them. He had been doing that with a friend, and so that's kind of where this started. So he had to pay restitution for that, and he was on probation for that. He was meeting with his PO. I called the PO to just say, hey, you know, I feel like he's getting into some trouble. What do I do? Because I want to help him. So she suggested that I take him to get a UA to see if he'd come up dirty. And he had a conniption fit on the way over there. And he said, you know, I didn't tell him. I tricked him as to where we were going. And he was saying, you're going to ruin my life. You're trying to ruin my life. And I wasn't trying to ruin his life. I thought I was helping him. Well, he drank a lot of water. You know how that goes. And when you can't read it, that's basically coming up dirty. But it didn't help him to be a part of the system. It didn't help him to be in juvie, because they don't help you there. The horror is, my son was missing for 6 days. And when he was found, he was covered by a blanket. He was covered with a blanket in a closet. And the only reason he was found by a mother of another user who had left the apartment. He had gotten arrested for shoplifting. She was working. She didn't know what was going on because she was a single mom, trying to make ends meet. And she was horrified to find my son in her son's bedroom closet covered with a blanket. So my son had been there for 6 days decomposing. No parent should have to go through that. As a woman of faith, I know I'll see my son again. But all that potential that was lost. And he was my best friend. He was a big brother. He was my firstborn. He was a good kid. He wasn't a bad person. He made some bad choices. And once he got addicted, he couldn't stop. And right before he overdosed on heroin, he wanted to stop, but he couldn't, and he was trying. You have to be educated. The way to be educated is to not just send that child to treatment, whether it's outpatient or inpatient, but to participate in that treatment, because the addict is in charge of their recovery. In order for them to be in charge of their recovery, they need the support system. It's not about, oh, just stop doing it. You can't stop doing it because you're addicted. Your car can't run without gas. Once your body becomes addicted to a drug, it needs it to run. So you have to relearn how to not use again. And your child needs a support system to know without prejudice, without judgment, that they have that unconditional love when they come home as a source of refuge, even if they slip up and mess up. And the only way to know that is to understand what the signs are, to understand how you as a resource, a parent, a loved one, can show that support. And the only way to do that is to be educated, to understand tolerance, what drugs do to the body to create tolerance, what is needed to reduce that tolerance, and what is needed for recovery. That's the only way. So education is key. It has to be a partnership. And in order for it to work, everybody has to work together.